So, Senior Vice President Jim Lee and General Manager Daniel Cherry III have decided to sit down and let you know that DC is just fine and they're not in any danger. Because that's exactly what a healthy company does. They need to go around and do interviews and tell people that they're fine and not in danger at all. Because that's what you do if you're a healthy company. So Jim Lee sat down with the Hollywood Reporter. I know this is CBR. I have the other article pulled up, but this is a little bit cleaner to go through. I'm going to go through the other one too. But Jim Lee and Daniel Cherry sat down and did this long interview. You can see it right here. It's very, very long. And it's very, very safe. It almost feels manufactured, like they gave them the questions ahead of time. Because this is almost like a press statement, which I found kind of funny. Now, I've talked about comic books quite a bit on this channel. I've noticed that the book scan stuff is doing something weird. They still haven't released July's NPD book scan for top 20 adult graphic novels. This is an important list because this is just straight up everything, whereas this one only calculates based on comic store POS data. So if you're just going to go by comic book store stuff, naturally, most of the stuff there is all comic book stuff. Manga's there, but I just don't think they count it. The real power is in bookstores and Scholastic and stuff like that. That's why when you go over to the adult graphic novels, you still see stuff like Dogman in there from time to time. Like other stuff can break in there. The problem is, the only stuff that registers is manga. Manga's killing everything. And what I find funny is in this article, they talk about comic sales going up, which I thought was hilarious. They give a big, long response. Comic sales have gone up during the pandemic. What did you learn from that? The short answer that they should have said is, yeah, manga's kicking our ass. But instead, they talk about periodicals, which you don't know what that is. That's the weekly, monthly comics that come out that are $5 a piece now. Actually, I think the DC comics are $4.99 and up now. Okay, they raised the prices because they made the books bigger and added more content to them, right? But they added stuff that people really don't want usually. So, like, if I pick up a Batman book, I want to read about Batman, but the problem is they add all of these backstory. Like, so at the end of the book, after the end of the Batman book, which is the same length as the book you got when you paid less money, they tack on these extra stories with different characters that vary in quality, by the way. And you're paying extra money for something that you don't want. One of the problems with the periodicals is they cost too much damn money. Okay? Not a lot of people, especially right now, don't have the money to spend $3.99 and up per issue for only 20 something pages. And most of these books aren't like blowing anybody's socks off. A lot of them are very safe and just they're not really like pushing any boundaries or anything. And would you expect that they would? I mean, most of the people in the comic book industry are NPC. So a lot of this stuff, especially at Marvel, DC keeps it kind of self-contained into certain areas. You still get a good Batman book and stuff like that, but like, and I'm going to be honest, like, there's better stuff at DC Comics right now for sure. I don't want to sound like I'm being too hard because I actually like some of the stuff at DC Comics right now. Marvel, I'm not reading anything but Amazing Spider-Man, and that might stop after Nick Spencer leaves because his run's been really good. But like, other than that, I don't read anything Marvel anymore because every Marvel comic book deals with gender and identity and politics and intersectionalism. I'm just not interested in it. But anyway, for some reason, we don't have the adult graphic novels for July yet. We have comic store data, on their top 20 graphic novels. And, you know, it's funny. Comic sales have gone up, they're saying here. They never mentioned manga or anything else. But if I look at the top 20 graphic novels, and it's just for this month, I didn't go back to a bunch of different months. I'm just looking at this month. And Marvel's dominating all of the comic book shops. You got one dark horse here, first, second books, but the only DC comic graphic novel that sold in July 2021 is Batman Damned. It really makes me wonder how well DC Comics is doing. Now, down here is by dollars, and they have a little bit more. So you got Batman Damned. You have Future State Batman Dark Detective, which is actually a pretty decent book, which is funny because it's written partially by Mariko Tamaki, who wrote that god-awful I'm Not Starfire comic. Sweet Tooth, Batman White Knight, and that's it. Mostly all Batman books, right? Seems to be that's why they've increased it. Like they're flooding the market with Batman. But it's just funny to me. They talk about sales going up and they completely ignore manga. And the guy who gives this interview, or woman, I'm not sure who gave this interview. It says Bori's kid. I have no idea who that is. But anyway, whoever gave this interview never followed up with that. Like, well, what do you think about manga? It seems to be dominating the market, sir. Doesn't ask him that. It's a very safe interview. But, you know, the key thing here is this basically was a press event to say, yeah, we're doing just fine. I'm going to squash the DC publishing is in danger rumor. It's the exact opposite. Why the movies are doing good. Those movies lose steam. We'll see how safe DC Comics really is once those movies lose steam for real. But he says, here's what he says. Occasionally you'll run across that article or tweet, and I have to bite my tongue to not jump into the conversations, Lee said. It's the furthest thing from the truth. If anything, it's the exact opposite. The comics that we publish, the core canon we establish in comics, is driving everything that we do across DC and media. We are constantly referring to the characters as we build DC beyond the publishing world. Having publishing is vital to our future, Lee continued. Having an influx of new voices, new characters, new points of view is vital to keeping the industry healthy and representative of current times. It's a mission, one, for us to make sure the universe we create and champion is reflective of the fan base that loves our characters. So yes, it is the cornerstone of everything we do. And then Cherry adds, this is literally a statement in our documents. He's basically saying the comics drive the games and the movies and the animated series. Now, DC does do some good stuff. The movies, some of them are okay. I'm a little worried about the future of the movies. I think you're going to see the movies go right into the toilet as J.J. Abrams starts to flex his power over the medium. They're going to go instantly into the trash because J.J. Abrams is an he's overhyped. He sucks. And anybody that's watched Disney Star Wars and the Star Trek movies know that this guy is a franchise killer. And Warner Brothers is about to learn that. But why is this happening? Well, there's a merger happening. Or anyway, why is this even happening with Jim Lee and Daniel Cherry? Well, they're doing an interview like this because there's a merger coming. Now, DC Comics has already been slashed like 2 or 3 times, something like that, where they had extensive cuts to the company. Now, I think it's pretty safe to assume that when Discovery and Warner merge, you're going to see even more cuts. So, I mean, we've seen how bad these cuts have hurt them. There's been comics that have been published that were kind of messed up and had problems, and there's been some typos here and there, weird looking pages, yet they didn't format right. Like, it's very, there was even a time where they forgot to tell people they were fired. A bunch of people were like, are you like still working there? They fired the person who tells people they're fired. So You know, is DC Comics closing anytime soon? No. But is there are they future proof? No. They can be cut and pushed out of business like anybody else. The only thing that keeps the comic book industry floating right now are the movies. And if the movies ever lose popularity and steam, and I think that that's coming, it's all on Marvel because Marvel is going to push the message now. The comic book industry will be in massive amounts of trouble because it's the manga market that's keeping everything going up. That and YA novels like Dog Man and stuff. Those are all what people's reading. Indie books pick up. People are reading those. But as far as like the big two, their sales have never been lower. I mean, yeah, you've got Marvel Comics dominating this, but what about DC Comics, right? And there's a lot of image in here. I don't know. Vote Loki, Loki, Loki. I mean, those are selling. Those are selling because of the fact that there's that television series. Mighty Marvel Masterworks, Fantastic Four, Volume 1, Greatest Heroes. That's a classic thing. Mighty Marvel Masterworks, Amazing Spider-Man Volume 1. That's an old stuff, like old stories. It's mostly old stories, other than King in Black, right? That's a current run. That's Venom. That's a Venom run. It's all older shit a lot of the times. So I don't know. I don't want to sit here and say for sure everything's going to shut down, but if I had to bet money on it, I wouldn't put my money on the future of the American comic book industry being healthy and secure, particularly future-proof. Anyway, that's pretty much it. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Also, if you would, please like, subscribe, share the video. Make sure you're still subscribed. Hit that notification bell, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace. Also, if you want to help support the channel, check out my Teespring store. There's a link in the description. You can find some merchandise in there that you might want to check out.